Welcome to Mallett and Michelle on Dripping Springs, hosted by me, Michelle Lewis, and Steve Mallett, who wears a Speedo. We call him Speedo Steve.
You can't say that, Michelle. You don't really say that about me.
Yeah, we do. No, just only me.
Behind my back.
I'm people.
Oh, my God. And Michelle Lewis, whose favorite words are yummy and beep, and don't forget beep.
Well, it's like I say beep.
Beep. Yeah, we can't say those words on the air.
We don't have beep buttons here.
Yeah, I wish I did.
Beep button. We need a beep button.
Yes, we do. Hey, do you hear that H-E-B, where Nettie Brown used to be? Actually, the Nettie Brown restaurant's still there, but it's closed. They broke ground last week.
I saw that. I'm so excited.
I know. 103,000 square foot store. We talked about it a couple episodes ago, but I thought one of the things that was cool is they're going to use memorabilia from Nettie Brown Cafe.
I was hoping they were going
the store.
to do that.
Yeah, they're going to have a like a section dedicated to the history of Nettie Brown.
Are they going to have the crying corner? Do you know what the crying corner is?
No.
So every concert we'd go to at Nettie Brown, I was like, oh, and that's the crying corner. The crying corner is like when the boyfriend and girlfriend, they
when
fight.
They break up, that's where they go.
They go and they cry.
Oh, God. Yeah. No, they're gonna. It's gonna have its own unique look. It's not gonna look like the other store. It says 2 entry towers and a large section of windows above the check stands will allow for an abundance of natural light, and several native trees will be added to the landscape. So, and they're supposed to have that open here. I think they said early 2023.
Are they going to have a gas station?
Yes, they're going to have a gas station.
Oh, are they going to have a place where you can donate your kidney at the gas
no
pump?
Kidding. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. You had a secret.
I did. Well, I mean, it's not like real controversial, but I just thought it was kind of fun to talk about because speaking of Speedo Steve.
Don't say that again.
I'm going to make t-shirts.
You're going to scare people off.
Speedo Steve. Did you know it's spring break time in Texas?
Yep. Spring break time, college and everything. So I thought, some of the newer residents here, or even longtime people that wanted to kind of do a staycation or kind of just around here, didn't really know where to go here in Texas. And a lot of people can kind of, you stay in Austin, but who the heck wants to stay in Austin during spring break? Because what's going on during spring break right now? South by Southwest.
Yeah, so if you don't know that, I mean, don't go downtown. It's crazy.
I had to go down there this morning. It's beyond crazy.
It is nuts.
Yeah.
Well, the number one place in the United States to spring break, shockingly it's not Florida, is South Padre Island, also known as the Texas Spring Break Island capital.
That's the number one place?
The number one place. Huh. It's not really family friendly, even though I used to take my family down there because my family had a beach house down there. But the bridge is a nightmare to get over, like hours to get over. Wild parties and topless bungee jumping and bar hopping but that's my teenage boys like to go.
I was gonna say, is that sarcasm? Or
no, it's true.
No.
Yeah, there was like there's this restaurant.
Topless bungee jumping.
Yeah, it looked like it really hurt.
I was gonna say,
it was like really, really hurt. But next to that is Port A, the Corpus area. That's where I did my spring breaking when I was a kid. It's the number 2. Port A is the number 2 area. Gosh, bless America. I'm so sorry.
We're going to have a jar here with every time your phone goes off during a podcast, you're going to have to drop $20 in it.
It's my daughter.
Then we can go out to lunch like 12 times a week.
Well, Kendall calls me 14 times a day. So, even though she knew I was recording. But
it's always something important.
It's always something very important. But back to Port A and Corpus. Some of the things you can visit in Port A and Corpus, the Lexington. Have you ever been to the
I have been to the Lexington.
The aquarium.
Not been to the aquarium.
It's okay. I had my, what was it, 10th year high school reunion there? Something like that. I had that there. Cole Park, which is really cool.
Haven't been there.
I spent a lot of makeout sessions at Cole Park in Corpus. Do you know who Selena is?
Yeah, there's a little memorial down there on the, what is that called?
On Ocean Drive.
Ocean Drive. Yeah, we've seen that.
But I don't know if I said this or not, but Port A is the second spring break destination next to Padre Island.
Oh.
So then you have Florida and blah, blah, blah. But some of the other places I thought, Alamo or San Antonio.
Yeah.
You can go see the Alamo, Riverwalk, you ever been to the new Pearl Complex out there? That's really cool.
Is that old industrial place?
It's where the Pearl beer. That's it's restaurants and hotels and. Of course,
I haven't been there, but I've driven by it and I know where it is.
It's really nice. I heard last time I was in San Antonio, they're extending the Riverwalk all the way into the Pearl Complex. Wow, it's just super nice. You and Holly should make a little weekend of that. Huh. Six Flags, SeaWorld. I don't know if you guys if you had to take your kids down there. One of the other places which I like is the Natural Bridge Caverns and Museums.
I've not been there either. I'm so lame.
That's super cool.
My kids have been there.
Yeah.
It's like, it used to be like a field trip thing, right?
Uh-huh. How about Brenham? Have you ever been to Brenham?
Never been there either.
That's like Bluebell ice cream and bluebonnets. That's what they're known for.
Really?
And then, of course, there's New Braunfels where, you could do tubing. Have you been tubing?
I have done that.
And Guadalupe?
I have done that. That's really fun.
And Schlitterbahn, there's that. And Houston, Galveston area. So right now in Houston, not only is it spring break, but it's rodeo time in Houston, and it's huge.
It's rodeo time in Texas, in Austin.
In Texas, it's rodeo time. But Houston's the largest rodeo in the United States.
Did not know that.
But you can also go visit the NASA Space Center.
I have been there. I took Tyler there once.
How about Galveston? Have you been to Galveston? No. So different from the modern kind of condo architecture like in other beach towns. It's more of a Victorian era.
Oh, really?
Some of the homes down there are just amazingly beautiful, but they also have Moody Gardens, which like they have a butterfly preserve, and I think they have a little aquarium.
I can't believe I haven't done all this stuff before.
Pleasure Pier, the Kemah Boardwalk, which is kind of like
that's in Galveston.
Yeah. Galveston, I think. Yeah. Ish, like
in that area.
It's kind of like the Santa Monica Boulevard, but like not. And one of my favorite places down there to eat, aside from Water Street Oyster Bar in Corpus Christi, which is my all-time favorite seafood restaurant, is Guido's in Galveston, and they are amazingly yummy. But it's spring break, and so I didn't know if
I went to Fort Lauderdale for spring break in the 80s.
You did?
Yeah, it was insane.
I bet it was.
It was insane.
Are you scarred?
Mentally, I am scarred. It was insane.
What?
It's just
the people and
the number of people, the amount of drinking, the drunkenness, debauchery.
Spring break goes hand in hand.
I mean, it got so bad in Fort Lauderdale. I think they started trying to change it so that so many young kids wouldn't come. Well, they outlawed drinking on the beach and all that kind of stuff.
I think I just saw it, and it's back.
Fort Lauderdale?
Fort Lauderdale is back with a vengeance. Maybe COVID kind of did that as well. Destin, Florida has become a little hot spot.
Destin used to be a place where you went to grow old and die.
Well, not anymore. And then there's Gulf Shores, Alabama. That is one of the other places. But I have a funny little story to tell you about Port A when I was in I think I was a senior in high school. Yeah. And I asked my mom, hey, can I go down to the beach? Because, growing up in Corpus, that's all there is to do. And she's like, no, I don't want you in Port A. You could go to, what did they call it? North Beach, which is like where the Lexington is. And in her mind, she thought that was safe. And I was like, yep, I'm going to North Beach. Well, didn't. I went to Port A.
There's no place safe with you, Michelle.
No, there isn't. Well, listen to this story. I don't know if I've ever told you this story before. So I'm in my little Toyota Tercel with 3 other friends. We're all piled in my car, and we probably put together $5 to get a full tank of gas. And we're, Port A, back then you could drive on the beach. I don't know if you can still do that now, Mustang Island area. And we're driving, and it's like dusk, and all of a sudden there's a commotion, like 2 cars up ahead of us. And we see all these people jumping on this car, and we're like, what the heck is going on? Well, apparently the truck, 2 cars in front of us, ran over somebody that was in the sand.
You're kidding.
Yeah, ran over them, and then the crowd started attacking them. We got stuck. They ended up turning the car over and beating the crap out of the guy.
and like helicopter comes and police are swarming. We can't go anywhere because we're stuck.
Jeez.
And so flash forward next day, my mom's like, I'm so glad you didn't go to Port A because there was a riot down on the beach. And I was like, really?
I didn't hear about that.
I had a front row seat. And I was surprised I made it out
I am
alive.
not surprised you had a front row seat.
But guess what? I did not get out of the car and participate. I stayed in my car.
Good.
That
was the last time you stayed out of something.
That was the last.
Ever. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, if you're going to drive down there to the beach, it's only going to cost you probably a second or third mortgage on your house because gas prices are just through the roof right now.
Well, I've started an OnlyFans for my dog.
Isn't that the truth?
So she's really cute.
I think I'm going to sell a kidney, see how much I can get for that.
Do you have pretty feet? Because maybe we could start an OnlyFans for you, too.
I'm a runner. I have the ugliest feet in the world. Maybe there's an ugly feet fans page.
Speedo Steve with ugly feet.
I was in the I have such ugly feet. I have a bunion that's so bad. I was in the locker room one day and this guy, I didn't even know him. I was standing there changing my clothes. He goes, "What the hell is that on the side of your foot?"
You got a perfect stranger.
It's a bunion. You never seen a bunion before?
Just that word. It's like moist.
It's true. It's true.
So
gas prices through the roof.
Yeah, they are through the roof.
Yeah.
They're so through the roof.
Probably some of our listeners don't know what that is. Oil.
Black gold.
Texas tea.
Do you remember that show?
I do, yeah. Beverly Hillbillies.
That was somebody moving to California.
That's true. So, with all their belongings in the back of their Model T Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been kind of funny to me trying to figure out what's going on because it doesn't seem like anything in the news that we're hearing from our leaders and politicians is true. It seems like it's all spin, doesn't it? I mean, it's like, remember Baghdad Bob from the Iraq War?
Uh-huh.
He was while Baghdad was falling, he was saying, we're winning this war. And, the building down the street is falling over. And he's like, the Americans are running. It's like, that's what I feel like our politicians are doing there.
I think
telling us one thing while something completely different is happening.
Smoke and mirrors.
Oh, yeah,
it's very hypocritical. And, obviously you don't know who to believe and who to listen to.
Americans are tough people. If things are bad, it's okay. You can tell us. Just be upfront with us. Just don't try and treat us like we're 5-year-olds.
And don't be tone deaf. Don't expect, if gas prices are horrid, so expect everybody to go buy electric cars.
Yeah, I know. Wasn't that stupid? Yeah, everybody just go buy an electric car. Will be good. Well,
that's asinine. That's irresponsible and asinine.
Yeah. Well, and it ignores the fact that most of the electricity produced in this country comes from non-renewable resources. So it's just a very small, and remember we had Brandon on talking about that. It's just a very small sliver of our energy production comes from wind and solar. And I mean, it is growing, but you can't, if everybody in this country got an electric car, the electric grid would collapse. So it's like, come on, people, get real. We put you up there for a reason, put you in charge for a reason. Do something.
Yeah,
and stop saying it's some other guy's fault.
Yeah.
It's this fault over here. I don't care what the reasons are. Do something about it.
Yeah, we're not going to blame everything on some Russian dictator right now.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
I had a funny question in relation to this from a neighbor friend of mine, and she said, "Is Texas really about oil, or is it just all about, like I used to watch Dallas and J.R. Ewing, and a lot of people probably don't even know who J.R. Ewing is.
Yeah, big. I guess it was like
70s, 80s.
Yeah, it was like a soap opera, like a nighttime soap opera about an oil tycoon.
J.R. and Sue Ellen. And do you know who shot J.R.?
I think this is a joke, but I don't know it.
No, it was his mistress.
Oh, it was?
Oh. Yeah, it was his mistress.
Wasn't that like the original meme? Like, who shot JR?
Yes, I
right?
won a radio contest one time. It was like, I guess while it was going on, I probably was like, how old was I? It was like 12 or 11 or something like that. And there was a contest of who shot it. And then like, if you got the answer right, they put your name in a hat and they pulled you out. And I won.
What'd you win?
I don't even remember what I won, honestly. Maybe like I won $50 or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, to answer your question, I did some research on this, how much oil comes out of Texas. So in the USA, we produce 15 million barrels of oil per day. That's the entire country. That's what our production is. Texas is 5 million barrels of that. So Texas by itself produces 30% of the oil that this country uses. In comparison, OPEC, which is the organization of the petroleum exporting countries, which Saudi Arabia, they currently produce 27 million barrels per day, and globally 88.4 million barrels of oil per day.
Wow.
Yeah, go buy a couple more windmills for that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And they'll freeze.
So, yeah. We're 15 million from 88 million. I don't know what percentage that is, but we're 20% of the world's oil production comes out of the United States. But I also read, even at this rate, if our consumption stayed exactly the same as it is now, and we did no new discovery, we wouldn't run out of oil in the United States, just based on our production, for 47 years.
Oh, wow.
Not finding another oil field out there. So, I think that's pretty interesting that there's people talking about, well, of course it's people that think the most important thing that's going on in the world right now is global warming, and we've got it. No matter what it costs, it doesn't matter if gas is $20 a gallon, we got to stop producing.
Well, that's an elitist
oil,
point of view
it really is. Yeah. It's somebody that, if gas is $20 a gallon, they probably don't pay for their own gas anyway, so they don't care.
Well, I always thought, of course, being a Texan, a native Texan, I always thought that oil and Texas kind of went hand in hand, almost like a perfect or imperfect marriage. I mean, Texas is synonymous with oil, and in looking about that, I remember hearing about, I wasn't around, maybe you were in 1901. You probably remember this in 1901.
I was around, yeah. I was 27 years old.
Spindletop.
Yeah.
Right? I thought it was a rock band, but
it's actually a pretty good name.
That's Spinal Tap, wasn't
Spinal Tap, yeah.
Spinal Tap. What do you know about Spindletop?
Well, I did a little bit of research on oil, and I found out January 10th, 1901, an enormous geyser of oil exploded from a drilling site at Spindletop Hill. That was the first, what was that movie? Oh, darn it, with James Dean in it. What was it called?
Oh my goodness.
Look it up. Anyway, that was the first time that oil erupted out of the ground and produced a geyser. Up until then, they had drilled and found it and pumped it out of the ground, but this was under pressure, and the geyser reached 150 feet and was blowing out 100,000 gallons of oil a day onto the ground.
Beaumont.
It was near Beaumont.
Beaumont. Yeah. If you don't know where Beaumont is, it's northeast of Houston. It's not the greatest little area. It's kind of Giant was the movie, 1956.
Giant, yes. So there's a great scene in there where the oil is just spewing into the air. Can you imagine 100,000 barrels of oil a day pumping out on the ground? I can't remember how many days.
It took 9 days, I think, to cap it, right? 9 days to cap it.
So almost 1 million barrels of oil pumped out onto the ground.
But, I think that is early. I also read that as early as July of, I don't know why they could even pinpoint it to the month, but July of 1543, Indians and Texans are said to have told, right, the European explorers that the substance had medicinal uses. So I guess there's documentation that even back then, that there was oil, but Lynn Barrett drilled Texas's first producing oil well in 1866 at Melrose in Nacogdoches County.
I heard that, yeah. And it was producing some small amount of oil. Like the first commercial economically significant discovery came in Navarro County near Corsicana. And that eventually produced 839 barrels of oil a day. Oh. So that was a big oil. But do you remember, so back in the 80s, well, it was the 70s, the early 70s and late 70s where we had the oil embargo, Arab oil embargo, and then there was the Iranian Revolution in 1979, and all that made oil. We were running really low on gas, and gas prices were really high.
What I remember about that, because I wasn't even a teenager, I remember waiting in line with my mom to get gas.
Yeah,
I do. Is that
it was. I remember you could only fill up if the last number on your license plate was a 1, was odd or even, like on certain days. On certain days, you couldn't just go get gas like you can now. Oh. But so this was, we had this oil boom, and Houston became one of the richest cities in the entire world. And then we had.
Then why was it called Dallas, not Houston, Steve?
I don't know. Talk to NBC. But when the bust came in the early 80s, between 82 and 87, Houston lost 211,000 jobs, and there were 30,000 foreclosures in Harris County in 1987. 30,000. When they got it down to 2,000 a month, they were excited. Foreclosures. Wow. There were whole streets in Harris County where every house had been foreclosed on.
Oh my goodness.
And you could buy them for, literally pennies on the dollar. So Houston, reaped the rewards of this huge oil boom, and then busted in the 80s. And now it's has come back, and I'm sure with oil at $150 a barrel or whatever it is, that's they'll have another boom again.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's what's going on right now. As far as if you're in the oil industry, are you considering being in an oil boom right now? I guess oil prices are over $200.
No, it's $150 a barrel, but
they predict over $200.
Yeah, well, they do. But I mean, it costs money to pull oil out of the ground. So when oil is worth more, it's more feasible for them to pull it out of the ground. So if it's $150 a barrel and it costs them $50 a barrel to pull it, which I had read somewhere that I think it's $50 a barrel now is where they break even. So they can make money on this, but it's supply and demand is what it comes down to. If we can furnish more supply in the U.S., figure out a way to do that, I don't think it's that hard, then prices will come down.
Well, Steve, if everybody just stopped striving for 2 weeks, we could really stop the curve of this oil
Aren't you sick of all these sort of meme solutions that people come up with that are not based in reality? But we're going to have some reality with Penny Reeves. She's going to come in here in a minute and talk to us. She owns a farm in Driftwood, and she has been on the radio and a number of radio stations. She's got a very colorful history, and we're going to take a little break and get Penny in here, and we'll talk to you in a second. So sit tight.
Thanks, Speedo Steve.
Oh, God.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com.
All right, well, welcome back. But before we get started with Penny, I have to have a little clarification here. The Speedo Steve is not because I'm some creepy dude hanging out on the beach in a banana hammock. It's because I'm a swimmer.
Oh, okay. Is that why?
That's the reason why. Okay, I felt like I needed to say that.
My eyes are bleeding in the thought of a banana hammock. Speedo Steve. I need a Kleenex.
And then, there's a picture I will never get out of my mind.
I'm sorry to both of you. But Penny Reeves from Graymar Farms.
Yay.
And thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. Yeah.
Good to see you both again.
Yeah. I met you at the YMCA, and I was trying to remember. It's probably been 15 years ago.
Well, then it was the Springs Fitness Family
That's
and
right.
Fun Center.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that goes way back.
That goes way back.
And you were teaching classes and doing personal training.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And now you own Graymar Farms. Mm-hmm. But tell us about that.
And I owned Graymar back then
you
as
did?
well.
Okay.
Okay. We moved here 25 plus years ago and started Graymar Farms, named after my son and daughter.
Oh.
Isn't that cool? Grayson,
yes.
G-R-A-Y.
Oh, yeah.
And then Maddie, her name is Margaret Madison. Margaret, so
that's
Graymar
cool.
Farm. And people often wonder, it's like, your last name is Reeves. Where does Graymar come in? And that's where it comes in.
Yeah, that's great.
But we had horses. We were boarding horses and riding, and decided, my husband at the time said, I really want to be in the hill country. His parents are from Lakey. Houston, moved to Lakey, and love the hill country. And, working in Austin, you can't go quite as far to Lakey. That's a heck of a commute. So we found Dripping Springs, which I always remember the road we currently live on, which is really nice and has a school on it now, was one lane with potholes and cattle guards.
Oh,
and
I'm sure.
And the changes, and of course, not an area subdivision in sight.
Yeah.
And the changes.
What year was that when you bought that property?
What's 25 plus years ago?
Oh, geez. So
do the math.
Late 90s.
Yeah.
Wow, geez. Yeah. We moved here in 2003, and I cannot believe the differences just since then. But
we had horses, and we just, we'd been boarding them, wanted to live in the country, bought property and had a house on it, and built everything else from the ground up. And
it's a heck of a business you got going out there too. How many horses are you boarding now?
Well, I have to count. Once again, bad math. At any point in time, between 40 and 50.
Wow, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. And then I got to know you a little bit better when you trained my daughter Gracie.
And Harry.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What a character, that horse.
I know. And Gracie, what an amazing kid.
Yes.
So congrats to you, Dad.
Well, thank you.
Literally, not only was she a beautiful rider, but one of the best horsewomen in terms of caring and compassion and understanding and communicating with the horse. It wasn't just about ribbons and points.
It was magical
about that communication.
To watch.
Absolutely amazing.
It was magical to watch. And she was just little Gracie with her braces and her boots. And when she first came out there, and you turned her into a real horsewoman. Yeah. And
she had the drive.
Yeah, well, I know.
In the love.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I saw her when she was in town not that long ago. That was it.
Yeah.
Okay. She came out and had to give Harry a kiss on the nose. Yeah. So it was great to see her.
She has a picture of Harry hugging her, and before he passed. The sweetest picture.
That horse was such a character.
He was.
And unfortunately, he passed away. But gosh, what a great horse.
Yes.
And her and Gracie and Harry had, I can't even remember how many awards they won over the years.
Successes and saddles and buckles. But as she will probably readily say, the best part is just standing in a pasture together, getting her Harry hugs.
You know what?
And getting on him bareback and just hanging out with friends at the barn.
Yeah. He was her best friend, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, on Christmas Day, I would drive her over there, and she would give him a couple of carrots and put a little hat on him, and they would take pictures. She loved that horse.
Yes.
Yeah, and she started off on
Sherman.
Yeah. Is Sherman still around?
Oh, Sherman's still around.
Boy, he's a workhorse.
Yes.
Literally. Yeah.
As my farrier likes to say, this horse is built to stop a cow, and you're trying to teach him ballet.
So it's Sherman that plays with that ball, right?
Yes.
That big 4-foot ball. That's just if you're following Penny on Instagram, watch that video. It is hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
Of Sherman chasing that ball around.
Yeah.
But what I know you love training mostly girls, right? To do horses, you do boys too.
We do. Matter of fact, y'all probably remember. I know Gracie certainly remembers Max and Lori Becker, the family that was here and then since have moved to Kansas. We do have guys at Graymar. We have some male boarders that board their horses there and come and ride. But by far, it is a feminine sport, at least for what we do. Now, when you get into roping and some of the
more Western
cattle events,
I guess there's some Western stuff that's female.
That's female oriented, but we do the stock horse classes, we do the performance horse classes, Western dressage, all of that, and it's predominantly females.
Yeah.
Yes.
But while you're teaching these kids these horse skills, you're also teaching them other things about life. And that was one of the things that I loved.
Absolutely.
You were teaching Gracie how to be a super human being. And tell us about how you coach these kids through that part of this.
The horse does it for me. So credit goes to the four-legged animal. If they have a passion we open that door to a line of communication between owner and horse or rider and horse. And all of a sudden, the human becomes much more aware of the horse's ability to communicate with them that they never really realized before. And they learn to understand that language, and they learn to communicate with the horse in a language the horse understands. And they start to develop this bond, again, that has very little to do with awards or prizes or buckles or saddles or ribbons, but has everything to do with just this incredible relationship built on trust, harmony, honoring, and caring and compassion for the animal. And it literally develops over time, because all the people that want to come out and ride because they have a goal. And goals are great.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you run? Why do we do a lot of the things we do? It's because we've got goals set. Mm-hmm. But in the midst of those goals, all of a sudden this relationship starts to blossom. And all of a sudden you become more relationship focused. You know, there are a lot of times we have people that say, I had planned to do this show, but right now where I am with my horse in terms of our relationship and our trust and you know, we're not ready yet. And so that's really cool, because they're starting to think about the horse who doesn't really have you know, they supposedly don't have a say in that. But in fact, if you do listen, they do have a say.
Right.
And then you walk that fine line as a former personal trainer working with humans who did have a say.
Yeah.
Whenever you know, and I always like to tell the kids and adults I coach riding, you don't pay me to watch you do things you know how to do, or you do well. You pay me to work and push you a little bit harder than that. But the horse, we have to really be aware of how the horse is communicating my pushing of the rider to do more things or more athletic things, or get the horse to do things that maybe may not be comfortable for them. And is it not comfortable because it's, you know, like I've added 10 pounds to my squat bar? I mean, is it not comfortable because it's more difficult, or is it not comfortable because there's an underlying situation? And so it's really important to be aware of that.
So in line with that, and having a lot of new residents here to not only Dripping Springs, Austin area, but just Texas in general, and there's this whole misconception about, you know, I'm going to get me a horse. I want to get some land, get me some horse. What's the greatest misconception about either owning a horse, riding a horse, that you are consistently seeing? Somebody new that's coming in.
It'll be so easy.
Yeah. I'll just keep it in the backyard over
like
here.
A dog.
Backyard.
It's like a dog. Like a horse is like a dog. It's not a dog.
No.
No.
And typically they're herd animals, so they need another horse nearby, or a goat, or another animal nearby. There are some horses who don't necessarily need another horse companion or a herd, but by far most of them, if you are going to truly give them the life they deserve, they need a herd, whether they're in the same paddock or there's adjoining paddocks, or doesn't make any difference. They need space to roam. They need food. They're designed to eat 24/7. And so typically in the ways we board them now, they're fed twice a day, and they're not allowed to eat 24/7. We choose to feed 3 times a day and try to keep food in their system. But it's a very labor intensive. If you love the animals, I always tell people that have come, you know, to take lessons. I no longer have a lesson horse because Sherman is fully leased now, so I no longer have a lesson horse. But to the people that do come with a couple of my instructors that do have lesson horses, I always tell them taking lessons and learning about horse care and responsible horse ownership is probably the most important thing you'll do, and the cheapest way you'll do it is by doing lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
because once and if you're fully committed, once you understand all that's involved, then go for it. The next phase of outside of lessons is going to lease a horse somewhere, finding a horse that maybe somebody doesn't, they're in college now, or their job is crazy, they don't have time to ride their horse. See if you can work out a lease with that owner on the horse, and you'll become slightly more than just a lesson student.
Right.
Now you're becoming a kind of an owner. So you start to get an idea, because the monthly shoes. Can we talk about shoes?
Yeah.
Do they have more than Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Every 5 to 6 weeks, horses need new shoes.
Yep.
And the cost of new shoes can range depending on your farrier. But the cost of shoes can be as high as, you know, $150 to $200, or as low as $80 to $100.
Well, and Harry had some surgeries, didn't he?
Harry had
surgery?
kissing spine surgery. He had back surgery, and then showed for 3 more years after his kissing spine surgery. And an incredible, again, your daughter came out after this surgery. We had to do daily back care of the surgical sites, and Gracie was out there, couldn't ride, couldn't do anything but lead him around at a walk and let him eat some grass. And she came out every day for 3 months and took care of this horse.
They were buddies. I mean, that's what you do for friends.
That's what you do.
Yeah. It's amazing to see.
So those kinds of things, I think, Michelle, are really important for people to. I actually consulted with a lady. I consult with people and talk about horse ownership versus horse lessons versus horse leasing. And I really try to open their eyes that, if you just want to dabble in a sport, take up tennis.
Yeah.
Because that racket you can put in the back of your closet when you're kind of done with tennis for a while.
Yeah.
Your horse, no.
No, you can't. Yeah.
No, not fair to the horse.
You just said something, the life they deserve. I think that's really very profound, because I think a lot of people think of the horses as tools, but they're animals. They are smarter than dogs, and you need to take care of them. But going back to what you said about it's a sort of 24/7 job. You post videos sometimes of, like, on the 4th of July or New Year's Eve of you at 2:00 in the morning or a thunderstorm out trying to calm the horses down, right?
Yes.
You feed them when that stuff's going on, so they have something else to.
I've got fabulous neighbors that do fireworks on the 4th of July and New Year's Eve, but they're great because they know if they give me 30 minutes notice, I can get alfalfa out to all the horses, and they'll be aware of the fireworks because they're really close. They'll be aware of the fireworks, but I got Amy's ice cream in front of me. What am I going for? Right. And so so you to really be responsible, you have to be aware. These are, 1,000 to 1,200 plus pound prey animals, and their immediate instinct, their greatest need is comfort, food, and safety.
Yeah.
And so they're fight or flight animals, and you need to be aware of that on your property.
Yeah.
And
I don't think people realize that. They think, I got some grass and I've got a fence and I have a couple horses.
But I think it was really good what you just said as far as your neighbors. If you be a good steward, be a good neighbor. And if your neighbors do have horses, then build that relationship with them and say, hey, look, we're having a party. We're going to have fireworks. Give that heads up a little bit so that the horses are safe.
A lot of people that do have horses have little barn dominiums or stalls where they can keep their horses in. So if they know in advance you're going to be doing fireworks next door, let your neighbors know. They can bring their horses in, feed their horses in their stalls, and horses may be worried, but they're not going to run through a fence. And that's the biggest fear, is that a horse will be badly injured.
So scared.
So stressed out.
So hear that, Dripping Springs? Be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
Reach out.
Yeah. Or if you maybe do your fireworks someplace else, if you can do it away from where people have, even dogs, right?
Oh, my poor dog.
Yeah. 4th of July.
I go out and do it for the horses and
like, hey, lady.
But my dog, I walk in the house and my dog's like,
Yeah. Dogs run away all the time at 4th of July and New Year's.
So I heard that you used to ride horses in the parade for the radio station all the time. So not only...
And an elephant once.
Oh, my
goodness.
No
way.
Oh, my goodness.
Down Congress Avenue.
You're kidding.
No, it was great.
Oh,
it was fantastic.
There was a whole nother life that a lot of people don't know about you. And I have been in contact with some mutual good friends of ours. Bama,
yes,
of course, and then Bob Pickett,
yes,
and Earl Ferris, my Earl friend. Earl's my Earl friend, and they've given me some little juicy tidbits about you. One of the things I thought was the funniest was one time while cleaning out the booth, they found a bunch of whiskey bottles behind the booth, and apparently Sammy Allred said they were yours. He blamed them on you.
Any comment?
We both enjoyed it.
I have to tell you that
Sammy taught me everything I knew about radio.
Sammy was a good guy. I worked with Sammy a little bit over at Coke FM and when I was with when I worked with Clear Channel, so Bob and all those guys. So I also heard that one of the craziest radio stunts, and you may have something different. You were strapped in a car. I don't know who were you with. Were you with Bobby Pickett, and you were held up by a tall crane? Was that?
That wasn't me. I think that was Pickett.
They thought you were in the car with them.
Nope.
Okay, well,
I have a deathly fear of heights. I've done weird things.
so that's what
But that is one of the down
qualify.
Congress Avenue.
something about you smoking cigars with Ruby Brew. Did I saying the last
I didn't
time?
smoke cigars, but I hung out in her office and coughed while she smoked
Okay.
cigars.
And they said everybody was afraid of Ruby. And
I loved her.
and
yeah.
I don't know if I said this already, that you were the most popular DJ on KVET.
Oh, well, my PR team's working overtime now.
But along with that, Bama told me that one of the nicest things somebody ever did for him in the radio industry was you spent a week setting up for Bama when he was replacing you. And he remembers that to this day. And he said it was one of the nicest things. But then right after that, he had a lady call him every single day and tell him how much he hated him and he missed you. So he just wanted to say thank you for that.
That is so sweet. I still am in touch with all those wonderful people that I spent so many years with in Austin and in Dallas radio. I mean, their family.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Just family. Yeah.
On the information sheet you shared with us, you got on KBOX in Dallas in 1973 to 76. That was Peck and Penny in the morning, which I love that.
And this is cool. Note to college students. I was an intern and worked for free at KBOX Radio when I was a college student.
Okay.
And I was in broadcast film arts. And I worked for free, and that parlayed into a job in their news department. So I worked in the news department for a number of years. And then the morning DJ at KVET left, and they brought Alan Peck in, and bless him, Chet Maxwell, who was the general manager, said, well, why don't we put a woman in there with Alan? Which literally had never been done in country radio anywhere in 1970. Six or late
73.
73. Oh, sorry,
is what you
73,
said, yeah.
74. And had never been done anywhere. And it was a little tense at first because not many people wanted to hear a lady on the radio. I mean, there were none. And the EEOC had said, you got to put women on the radio. So hence I was first hired to be a traffic reporter, news department, and then moved into what they call programming. And and then moving to Austin, Ron Rogers with KVET gave me the chance to have my own drive time show by myself.
Penny Reeves show, yeah.
Which was, again, these gentlemen, these general managers, really forward thinking in their let's give this a shot.
Yeah.
And
What
it
did
was
you
fun.
love? What did you love about your time on the radio, and what did you hate about your time on the radio?
I love the people.
Yeah.
Like going out to remote broadcasts,
Events.
oh my gosh, we did so many elementary school belt buckle auctions. And, I mean, it was just the greatest people. Talking to the people the thing I hated the most ended up being turned into a kind of around the world passion.
Yeah.
Was you'd be stuck in this little booth for 4 or 5 hours, and you put on a long song and you make a pit stop, but that was about it.
And now it's not that way anymore.
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, it's so different, even from when I was in it. Yeah.
Different, yes. I don't think I would my technology skills
trust
would
me.
not be what they need to be. But that got me into working out on a regular basis because as soon as I got off the air, I had to go running.
Oh yeah.
And so KVET at the time was on Town Lake, and down.
So did you have some formal training in radio?
Well, I mean, that's what I studied in school was broadcast film arts. So I really was high school as a drama kid, a theater nerd.
Oh yeah.
And what can you do with a theater degree?
Go on the radio.
There was no Starbucks at the time, so I could be a barista. So I again was the right minority at the right time. I mean, they were looking for females on the air,
Well,
and so I was an intern and worked for free. So
were you nervous the first few times
Oh my
you were on
God,
the
I
radio?
scripted everything.
Really?
Oh, I had to write down, good morning.
Oh,
That's kind of very similar to
Yeah.
when
morning.
we started.
This is Penny with your morning traffic report.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I do that sometimes too.
Earl said that one of the reasons he felt you got into fitness was because of all the food that was brought
Oh my
into
gosh,
the
there
radio
is
station.
so much food at radio stations.
That's how I originally was introduced to Clear Channel because I was the marketing director of Chick-fil-A.
Oh, there
and
you
so
go.
I was
There
in there all the time, and so I was the chicken fairy, is what they called me. That was my name.
Oh, I love that.
So I'd go in there and give them.
I probably heard them announce you.
You just never know. That's why Bama loves me so much. Me and my chicken. So
I love that.
But yeah, it was that was a good time. It was a good time back there on the radio. I can relate to that. As far as the people on the remotes that you would meet, just fascinating. And you were a little local celebrity. You're still a local Dripping Springs celebrity, but you were a local celebrity.
We played these benefit basketball games. We did one here in Dripping Springs, and it was, just hysterical. The disc jockeys trying to play basketball to start with is pretty funny, but we'd bring out University of Texas athletes, football players, and track stars, and so it became pretty impressive. And it was a fundraiser for the school or for the athletic boosters or something. It was so much fun.
And you are in the Texas Music Hall of Fame,
Texas Radio
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's
Congratulations.
When were you inducted into that? A couple years ago.
2016, 14, 20 something. Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they honored you with that.
That was a big honor. So
I was reading something that says DJ Penny Reeves leaving the air to sell real estate. How'd that work out for you?
And that was in one of the booms of the Austin. We're in another huge boom. Boy, if you are a real estate agent, thank you, in the real estate business, Steve, Michelle, my hat goes off to you. That is a skill set that is, I'm a people person, but there's math involved.
Yeah.
That's why I'm on this side.
Yeah. And then, I do the math. Yeah. Michelle does the staging.
It is there is a skill set and a passion for that if you don't have, and I discovered that was really tough for me. Yeah. And it was not where my heart was. And
there's a lot of people get into the business that have, they have 3 or 4 of the necessary 10 skills or 5 of the necessary 10 skills, but they don't have the package. And a lot of people get out. Well, how long did you do it before you got out?
Oh, probably 3 or 4 years. With a marginal amount of success, it just
wasn't your passion.
It wasn't my passion. Yeah.
So then you got into fitness.
And I had always been dabbling. I was an adult survivor of gym class.
Yeah.
So growing up, I was the runt of the litter, as we like to say, picked last on every team. God, Penny, nobody, she's uncoordinated and she's little. And so I did not perceive myself as athletic to any extent or had the ability to do anything until I started running in college, and I ran a mile a day.
Oh, that's me.
In my little tiger shoes. They were tigers.
Did you wear a Speedo?
Right.
Did you wear a Speedo?
I did not wear a Speedo. Yeah.
I had those tiger shoes when I ran in high school. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I started, and then I became a racquetball player. And I was like, oh, man, a ball sport where you're not chasing a ball through a parking lot because you went over the net, and love that. And then I got into aerobic dance. And at the racquetball court where I played racquetball, they had aerobic dance classes in a racquetball court with a record player and a stack of 45 records.
No way.
and so I was a runner and a racquetball player, so I was real cocky. But I loved to dance. So I went in, and like all new people in an aerobic class, I stood in the back row, and it kicked my booty.
Oh, yeah.
And I went, ooh. Learned about specificity of training, sports specific. I could play racquetball, I could run, but aerobic dance used things I had not used in ways I had used them before. Yeah. Got hooked. I mean, you're clubbing without having to pay a bar tab. You're dancing. You're getting in shape. This is the best thing ever. And the lady that was to become my partner in the Body Business Health and Fitness Club was running the aerobics programs at the racquetball court, and we just took our show on the road.
That's great.
Yeah. And matter of fact, at the real estate office I worked at, I actually did a fitness class twice a week.
No way.
After work for everybody.
We could probably use those around
here. I
here.
have a fitness class, fitting that whole pizza in my mouth.
Yeah.
Fit that thing in.
Yeah.
Penny, you were a homecoming queen.
Oh, God, you really did go back.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How cute is that?
Yeah. Penny, the thing that jumps out at me is you have never done anything halfway. Everything you've ever done, you have just like pushed the sky's the limit. I love that. Good for you.
Well, Because you follow your heart,
and
you hope there's money in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, if you're following your heart and living your passion, you'd be surprised at the amount of money you don't have to make to be a happy person.
That's true.
I've got people say, "Oh, we're going to go to the beach." I've got 4 beaches out in my backyard. They happen to have a little horse poop in them. There are 4 sandy beaches out there.
Don't you think though that it's true that people aspire to have more money because they think that will make them happy? We should be aspiring for happiness, right?
Yes.
We find happiness in the places where it is. Money isn't always where it is. It does help sometimes, but not.
No, it does help.
Yeah. But and so you got into the fitness thing, and then so you were doing the horse thing on the side, and then you started doing that full time when?
Oh, golly. Well, we had boarders at our place.
Oh, okay.
This is great. So we moved, of course, to Dripping Springs, and we had started with our little 4 horses and our little 4-stall barn. And the kids got into the 4-H program, which I am still a big part of, and I volunteer for the Hays County 4-H horse program. Our last point show, as a matter of fact, is coming up, and then we've got district and state. And Hays County in the state 4-H competition for the horse competition for the last 2 years has been the number 2 county.
Oh, amazing.
In the state.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's we've got some impressive horse kids. Everything from performance events, stock horse events, the judged events, to speed events. So all across the board, we've got a really strong group of horse kids in Hays County. But my kids were in 4-H. And we were having a lot of fun doing 4-H, and because we're all out here, some of our friends also had their horses in their backyard. Well, we happened to have an arena, so they'd haul over to my place, and everybody would do lessons, and we practice for the 4-H shows. And the parents would go, well, it'd just be a lot easier if we just kept our horse here. So we built a few little paddocks and a few little pens, and it just started expanding.
It grew organically.
It grew organically.
Yes.
Exactly. And again, now we have a bunch of pens. We have 7 riding arenas. And
wow.
It's,
I spent a lot of time there, and you never get bored. There's always something to watch, somebody to see. I would love spending time out there. Even watching horses eat is fun sometimes. Just
I love the sound
it's
of
relaxing.
horses crunching.
Yeah.
So you take youth volunteers? Are you always like if the kids at the high school are looking for community service hours and help cleaning stalls? And...
we don't. And that is sadly a liability issue. I've got certain age limits that I have, and the beauty is a lot of my kids that board
will do it themselves.
Will do it themselves, and I've hired to do it.
Oh, good.
There are organizations here that do need volunteers.
Red Arena.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
What a great organization.
Matter of fact, you remember Hayden and I, one of Gracie Mallett's compadres in riding horses, and Hayden is a volunteer at Red Arena.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, we're working on getting her PATH certification so that she can become a therapeutic riding instructor.
We've been out there painting some fences and cleaning some stalls.
We've done some volunteer days out there, and we've helped them financially. That's a great organization.
Great organization.
Yeah.
Great organization.
That therapeutic horsemanship just does wonders for kids.
I mean, the horses are magical. What is it? Some horses are therapy horses, but most are just freelancing.
So you have, I'm a parent. I just moved here to Dripping Springs, and I have a kid that wants to try this horsing thing out.
Take lessons.
Mm-hmm. Where do they start?
So I'll give you a list of places that have lesson programs.
So reach out to you.
Reach out to me. I'll give them a list of people that have lesson programs, horseback riding lesson programs, depending on whether they want to do English or Western, and literally take lessons and make sure. My kids rode for 3.5, almost 4 years before we ever bought a horse. And I grew up with horses. So I would have been the first one to say, yeah, let's buy, because I had a horse as soon as I graduated from college, I bought a horse. When I moved to Austin, I had another horse I brought with me. So I've always had, until radio got so busy, I didn't have time for my horse. Not fear of the horse.
Right.
So I sold the horse to a little 4-H kid in Pflugerville, as a matter of fact, ages ago. But it gives them the parents the chance to see, is my child going to be truly interested enough to make this investment?
And it's as much of time commitment for the parent as it is for the child, because somebody's got to get them back and forth to those lessons.
Correct.
If you're going to do something, do it all the way.
And I will tell you, if you think your child wants to own a horse, parents stay there and watch those lessons and learn.
Yeah.
Because, if you do buy a horse and the kids at school, and especially as busy as they are nowadays in middle school and high school, guess who's going to be helping take care of the horse? It's mom or dad.
Well, and busy kids stay out of trouble. That was my parenting motto.
Yeah. You said something to me. I don't even know if you remember. I was talking to you at the barn one day, and you said something about the girls. You said, if a girl can push around a 1,200-pound horse, she won't have any problem with a 16-year-old boy.
Yeah. Horses teach boundaries really well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a nice way to do boundaries. I mean, you don't have to come at them and scream and hit unless they run over you.
Yeah.
You can teach boundaries very firmly, but politely.
Yeah.
And
the average person, their horse experience is probably going to some barn where they do a little 2-mile trail ride and the horses all follow each other back to the barn and there's no real riding involved. That's completely different. That doesn't give you any kind of experience about learning to ride horses, does it? Because that's the average person's experience. Yeah.
There is a really neat, and I don't know if you're familiar with the LOPE, Lone Star Outreach to Place X Racers. It's a nonprofit organization that takes racehorses, ex-racehorses, and kind of gives them a new start in life. Mm-hmm. And Lynn Reardon is the executive director, founder, executive director of LOPE, and has some of her LOPE horses at Graymar.
Oh, yeah.
Where, and then she has a whole program called Horsewise, which I highly recommend. She's got a podcast, where she talks on her podcast, interviews people who are in the horse industry, fascinating about the understanding horse psychology, the responsible care of horses, setting boundaries, setting firm but fair boundaries. She's a wealth of information through her Horsewise program. And then, in terms of her nonprofit LOPE. Wow.
Yeah.
What a great
We may have to get her on a podcast one day.
Yeah. She's fabulous.
Gracie did something in Dallas and she was up there. So I got to meet her for that really neat lady. Mm-hmm. You also did some acting. A little bit. Yeah. Well, I pulled up, you were in the Temple Grandin movie.
Yes.
And it said you were the horse
I was
mistress.
the riding instructor.
Oh, you were? Okay.
One of the scenes in Temple Grandin that was actually cut from the movie required me and Claire Danes to be riding together. Okay. And so I got the job because I rode horses and had a little bit of acting experience, from old days. Anyway, so I got that gig there. My daughter actually, her scene on the horse, she had a scene on the horse and was in that film. Oh, yeah. But I got to be on that film and then got to do some Friday Night Lights.
I was going to say Friday Night Lights.
I did Friday Night Lights too.
Did you?
I did.
What did you play?
Reporter.
Oh, very cool.
Spectator.
Yes. Yeah.
Mainly I was at craft services waiting to be called. I think I did one episode where my car got paid more money than mine than I did. They had to use my car and they paid me more money for the day. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah. Is that?
That's not me. That's the gal that followed me at KBOX.
Oh my!
Successor to Penny Reeves.
Yeah.
I was going to say, did they
photoshopped a new face and blonde hair and yeah.
Says you were also in the Lion Game and you were the policewoman.
I was the policewoman in the Lion Game.
What was that?
Yeah, I just, people would walk in and I guess the stars of the show would walk in and ask for something and I'd direct them to whatever office.
That's funny.
They were all, literally, if you had to go to the bathroom at the wrong moment, you would have completely missed my scene.
That's my experience with a lot of my IMBD.
Yes, exactly.
You know what, Penny? One of the things about you is you're not sitting in a rocking chair.
No. I am 70 years young.
Yeah.
By golly, booyah.
I hope I have half of your energy 11 years from now. When do you sleep?
Yeah, I do sleep soundly.
I bet you do.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no
I have two
moss
speeds.
growing under your feet.
Off, on.
That's a lot like me.
Yeah, that's right. What's your secret? What keeps you so motivated?
Doing what I love.
Yeah.
And I do what I want.
I do what I want when
and I do
it. And the beauty of being, to me, and everybody that's in my age bracket and certainly beyond, probably some even younger, know that as you get older, you really truly become who you are meant to be. You're not afraid anymore to really speak your truth, live your truth.
And your filter's a little.
And yeah. You're kind, but you're honest. There's kind candor. Mm-hmm. So it's liberating. I'm a vintage feminist. My mother was a feminist.
What's a vintage feminist?
That's an older feminist. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm tired.
You don't grow up entering male-dominated professions without becoming a little bit of a feminist. Mm-hmm. I graduated from college and couldn't get a credit card in my name.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the things. When Susan and I started body business and went out to get a bank loan to do body business, and I'd been in radio. I mean, I had a fairly successful career in radio, and went out to get a loan to start our company. We had to get our husbands to co-sign everything because we were not considered when we had Susan's retirement.
This wasn't that long ago, right?
No, this was 1984.
That's insane.
Yeah, 84, 85, 86. And so it's really, and even today. So at my age, I did some extensive road work. After 25 plus years, it's time to do a little road work on my drive coming in. And it was a significant chunk of change. And I went to my local banks and was told no. Oh. So I got my funding through one of those, how high of an interest rate can you pay funding. So we've still got a long way to go.
These women need to thank women like you, these young women, for helping pave the way. No pun intended.
Be loud and be noisy. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, real estate's one of those worlds where women there's more women in real estate now than there are men, and they're just changing the business.
They're changing
daily.
the business profile.
I'd love to see that.
I bet if you showed up in a Speedo, you'd get more.
Shush. Shush.
Hey, you could do a whole staging in the backyard by a pool at a house.
Just imagine the pictures we could take.
God,
does the guy in a Speedo convey with the proper
photo shirt?
You're killing me. You're killing me. Oh, geez. Penny, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about today?
Oh, my goodness. Everybody take good care of yourself. Work out on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
That's where some of the energy comes from. I've just absolutely, not that I love working out, but I love the benefits. I achieve. There, some days you got to drag yourself.
I was going to say, it gets a lot harder when you get older, doesn't it? There's always a little ache or a pain, or you don't
put
feel
your earpods
great.
in, you put some good tunes on, and baby.
I just posted something on social media the other day. It says, now I'm 51 now, so it's like at this age, I have upstairs Advil, downstairs Advil, car Advil, purse Advil.
That's true.
Like, that's the way of the world nowadays.
Well, you got to keep doing it, though, right? Keeps you young, keeps the body working, keeps the joints lubricated.
Modify to fit what you're able to do.
Do what you can do. I say that all the time to people. When somebody comes, I can't swim anymore. I go, can you kick? Go kick for a while. Do what you can do. That's the most important thing.
Oh my gosh. And following your passion, realizing you never stop learning. I mean, the horse industry, the fitness industry.
Yeah. We
were talking about fascia a few seconds ago. The fascia with humans and fascia with horses. The horse industry, my knowledge is it's exploding in what they're learning. Horse Brain, Human Brain, great book, by the way. Horse Brain, Human Brain.
Okay.
It talks about the differences between the human brain and the horse brain, how they perceive the world and how we perceive the world. But our knowledge of working with horses has changed in such a massive way. Whatever your passion is, don't be afraid to learn more and challenge your old beliefs. Don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to try new things.
And admit when you're wrong.
I've found that about myself as I've grown older too. I used to be, this is my way or the highway. Everything's black and white, blah, 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 blah. And now I'm like, well, you know what? I need to listen to that. That sounds like that might have a little kernel of truth that I need to explore.
This podcast world too has really kind of opened up our mind and brain, and it's tapped into a creative side that both Steve and I really enjoy, and
that we didn't realize we were lacking.
No, and
too.
we get to meet fascinating, amazing people, even more in depth.
Yes,
in the community.
And look at the technology you're learning to do. The technology is.
Well, this is a good example. I've known you 15 years. This is by far the longest conversation I've ever had with you, and I have enjoyed every minute.
Oh,
of it.
thank you. I've enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
I got to say, technology-wise, I'm an old dog that you can learn new tricks. I run websites. I run the Dripping Springs Ranch Park Riding Series because I manage their shows. I run their website. I run the Capillary Quarter Horse Association website. Do some social media stuff.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes and jump right in.
Penny Reeves, Mallett Integrity Team, new social media manager.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not going that far. Yeah.
Well, Penny, thank you so much for coming on.
It was really fun.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallett Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at mallettintegrityteam.com.
Thanks for listening.
If you have comments or feedback, please email us at mallettandmichelle@gmail.com.
Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Mallett and Michelle.
Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.
Please follow us and leave a review.
Thanks again for listening.